All right, if you create content for social media, you know exactly the feeling I'm talking about. You've written the perfect post, the caption is just brilliance, you hit paste, and then you see it. That dreaded little red number telling you you're over the character limit. Ugh, it's such a tiny thing, but it completely derails your creative flow. Well, today, we are going to escape that trap for good.
I mean, seriously, who hasn't? You're in the zone, the ideas are flowing, and then suddenly you're forced to become this ruthless editor, just hacking away at your own message to make it fit. It is, without a doubt, a universal frustration for anyone trying to post content across multiple platforms.
And the frustrations are so specific, aren't they? Your brilliant opening hook? Gone. Cut off in the feed. You try to edit the post and, whoops, you accidentally delete a super important link or ad handle. Or you're just sitting there guessing, trying to figure out the best place to split a thread. These frantic last-minute rewrites just absolutely kill your creative momentum.
Now you might be thinking, it's just a minor annoyance. But in reality, these limits have a direct impact on how your content actually performs. This isn't just about fitting into a box. It's about making sure your message lands exactly the way you want it to.
So let's break down the real damage, okay? Feed truncation. That means your amazing hook is totally useless if it gets cut off. If your intro is too long, your link gets pushed below the fold and your click-through rate just plummets. And your call to action, if that's buried in the second part of a thread, your engagement drops off a cliff. And all of this is before we even get into the absolute chaos of how different platforms count emojis and URLs. It's a mess.
And here is where it really hurts. On a single platform, it's a hassle, sure, but when you're cross-posting to X and Threads and Blue Sky and then trying to adapt that copy for a TikTok description, the problem just explodes. It becomes this constant tax on your creativity, pulling you out of creation mode and into tedious manual editing.
So what's the solution here? You might be thinking, I'll just use a character counter. But, and this is a big but, not all counters are created equal. A generic one you find online is fundamentally different from a tool that was actually built with social media in mind.
So here's the difference in a nutshell. A generic counter, it gives you one raw number. That's it. It has no idea if that number is good for X but terrible for Blue Sky. It doesn't help you figure out where to make the cuts. But a social aware counter, that's like having a co-pilot. It shows you the limits for each platform, it flags you the second you go over, and it even helps you intelligently split a long post into a perfect thread.
So what is it exactly? Well, it's a tool that lets you be proactive instead of reactive. Instead of pasting your text into each app and then scrambling to fix the errors, you draft once and you do it knowing it will work everywhere you plan to post. It is all about preventing problems before they even happen.
So how does this actually change your day-to-day? Well, with the right tool, you're not just avoiding frustration. You are unlocking way smarter workflows for creating and repurposing your content.
Let's take a classic example, right? You write a fantastic thread for X. As you're writing, a social-aware tool can tell you instantly if the combined text of that whole thread will fit as a single post on Threads or Blue Sky. No more copying, pasting, checking, editing, it's just done. Then, from that same draft, you can quickly trim it down into a punchy caption for TikTok. It's one piece of content adapted intelligently. And here's another huge benefit. The best tools out there will actually show you hook-safe ranges. They'll highlight the first line of your post and confirm if it's going to be fully visible in the feed before someone has to click See More. I mean, if you care about engagement at all, that feature is an absolute game changer.
You know, this really gets to the heart of it. The counter itself is just the mechanism. The real goal, the real feeling we're after is confidence. The feeling of hitting post and just knowing that your content is going to look exactly the way you intended on every single platform, with zero last-minute surprises.
So if you're out there looking for a tool like this, what should be on your checklist? First, make sure it actually knows the limits for your platforms. It needs to give you really obvious visual warnings when you're over the limit. A thread preview function is incredibly helpful, trust me. And ideally, it should integrate right into your workflow, letting you export or send text directly to your scheduler.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second here, because as powerful as a tool like this is, its true value really comes when you see it as just one part of a much larger content system.
I mean, think about it. Nobody wakes up in the morning excited to count characters. That's not the goal. What we really want is to be more consistent with our posting. We want to spend less time fixing silly errors. We just want to get our ideas out into the world with less friction. This tool is just a means to that end.
And this is exactly how it plugs into your bigger strategy.
You can plan content by topic, drafting a core idea that you can then easily adapt because you already know the limits. You can build an entire evergreen queue of pre-vetted, character-safe posts. And ultimately, it just makes your whole automation system more reliable by getting rid of a very common point of failure.
So, I'll leave you with this question. The character count trap. It really feels like a small problem, doesn't it? But when you add up the lost time, the killed momentum, and the posts that just don't perform as well as they could have, the cost is surprisingly high. So what's the tiny point of friction in your workflow that, if you finally solved it, could unlock a whole new level of consistency and confidence for you?